Welcome to the class.
大家下午好，欢迎回到课程的现场。
We are on the bridge to the Diamond Way.
我们现在正是在通往金刚秤之桥的课程当中。
And we are welcoming all online participants to join our class now. Hi, everyone.
让我们跟线上同学们打声招呼，大家好。
Thank you for coming.
欢迎来到课程。
And today we have a special class again.
今天我们又有一节特别的课程教授。
We're still studying wisdom.
我们在学习智慧。
We still are so lucky we have time to do that with our amazing teachers.
我们非常幸运，因为我们有时间来到马来西亚这个地方去学习智慧。
And we have our amazing class, catch-up class for the Diamond Way class.
而且这些课程将是帮助我们能够最终进入金刚秤的课程，所以非常的殊胜。
And today we have a class with our great teacher, Anatole Nguyen. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anatole.
今天的课程同样由我们的 Anatole 老师
Please
来做
join
教授，
us.
让我们欢迎 Anatole 老师，掌声热烈欢迎！
Yeah. Enjoy your class.
大家好好享受课程。
Hello, hello. Thank you for coming. Good to see you all. So today I have it easy because I'm supposed to cover the first four perfections. And this has already been covered by Geshe Michael in this retreat. So, I have no interpreter today, right? So I thought we would, I thought to do a question and answer, maybe in the beginning, because usually we leave it for the end, and then there's no time. So let's start with a Q&A. I'll sit down like the teacher. Don't throw spitballs at me. And so, yeah, I'm sure over the last few days you've been talking with each other. That was part of the assignment, right? Everybody will find a new friend and discuss with each other some ideas from the retreat. So if you have any comments or questions, we can start like that. I know you're just getting settled, but anybody, you can raise your hand. Yes, if we have a microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much. On the last retreat, we were told to prepare our death. So recently, I was visiting my parents, and I wanted to let them know what a Buddhist should do on their, I don't know the word in English, entierro, bury?
Oh, burial.
Yeah. So I would like to know the instructions to let them know in case I die.
Very good, very good. So actually, I'm glad that you bring up this topic about imagining your death, that you're going, thinking about dying. Geshe Michael was talking about it in the class, like just before this one, and he was talking about how we never we don't tend to see dead people in our life, you know. Geshe Michael said the first time he saw a dead person was in India. And before that, he had never actually seen a dead person. And he was in India, and a taxi cab was driving by, and there was a man on the top of it. And he said, why is that guy on top of the taxi? You know, his arms are going like this. And they said, oh, that's just a dead guy. They're taking him to be cremated. And so I also never seen quite a dead person like that. He said that he had a friend in the monastery, monastery, the temple in New Jersey. And this person passed away while he was talking to him. He was actually eating lunch. He was eating a sandwich. And as he put the sandwich into his mouth, he started to chew it, and then he took the sandwich out, and he's holding the sandwich. And all of a sudden, he stopped talking. And after a while, Geshe Michael was like, I think he's dead. You know? He was an old monk, and he died just while talking. It wasn't even anything more than that. So this idea that you could die tonight and you would like to take care of that, because it means when we start to think about our next, that we're going to keep going, our next life, we start to get interested in it, then naturally you want to, as you feel lighter about taking care of the things in this life, you feel like you've done that. As you feel that you need to take care of the things in this life so that you can go on to the next one, you start to feel lighter, and these things come up, I think, more in your thoughts. How can I just make sure everything's okay? So in this story of the monk who died in the middle of having lunch, Geshe Michael ran to his teacher and said, the monk just died. What do we do? And his teacher Rinpoche said, what do we do in America? I don't know. Tell me, what are we supposed to do? And Geshe Michael said, well, here in America, by law, we have to call the hospital, and we have to report the death, and they have to make sure that they have to record it to make sure there was no murder or anything like that. So they take the body right away to the, and this is an interesting way to start a class, by the way, but I think it's good. They take the dead body to the morgue or something, and they have to start putting it in the refrigerator. And Geshe Michael said, oh, but I have to do these prayers. I have to come with you. And they said, well, no, we have to put him in the refrigerator. And Geshe Michael said, oh, okay, well, let me go into the refrigerator. So he sat with the dead body in a pretty small refrigerator, and he's reading the prayers for him. And the point, I think, is that even though we may have been to a funeral or we've seen a dead person, we don't really get to be close to someone who's dead. They try to make it pretty they really don't want you to see a dead person. We try in our culture not to think about death. So it's very rare to sort of be exposed to a dead body in that way. But anyway, he said it's a good thing if you can kind of be around dead people. it's a healthy thing because it lets you know that he said it helps you with your pride, this idea that I'm some kind of special person when really you're just food for the worms. That's all this kind of. Some people came up to me today and said, "Oh, your yoga is so good," and then that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anything. Like we have to use our body and our mind to plant seeds, to take care of our next life and take care of what we need to do. So I don't know how we could do that. I don't know how you could say, "Oh, okay, so one step in my spiritual path is I need to spend more time around, dead people." But I suppose, when you go to the grocery store or something, you could go by the meat department and you could kind of consider how, even though it's packaged up in a nice containers, it's just really like kind of how we are. We're just kind of made of this meat, we call meat body. And pretty soon it's just going to be something that's going to fall apart and either be eaten by something or by bugs or worms. So to answer your question, how should you prepare? You asked about how you should prepare for your own, if you should die tonight or something like that, what should you do? I don't really have personal experience with this practice. I heard about it, and I kind of, procrastinated. But supposedly, I can pass on to you what I heard, and maybe I'll get inspired to do it, and maybe we can get inspired together. But the instructions that Geshe Michael gave us are you should try to, right away, put your life in order. And anything that you own, you should try to dedicate it. Like there's this thing I heard about all my life. It's called a will. A will means when you die, if you have any stuff, so that people won't fight over your possessions and it'll be clean and easy, then you and I, we should, after this retreat, we should go home. And I don't know who to call, but I guess there's I could look it up on Google, somewhere I could do my will, and then I should take whatever I own or whatever valuable things I might have, and then I should designate those things to the people I want to give it to. So this was about maybe 7 years ago. Geshe Michael said, "Yeah, I'm doing this now. I'm taking my things and I'm preparing for leaving this world, and you should do the same." And honestly, I haven't done those things. I just don't like paperwork, so I just can't imagine. It's hard for me to imagine I have so many things to do tomorrow, right, or today, and it's hard to put it on the top of your list. But in a way, it's an indication. It's like a barometer or a measurement, I think, of how much you're thinking about the next life. And so it's hard for me to tell you much about it because I haven't done it. I just heard about it. But you're supposed to think about the descendants or the friends and family that you will leave behind and what you could do to take care of them. And I think that's a very beautiful thing to think about. We talk about meditation. It's a very beautiful thing to meditate on. But don't always think of meditation as sitting with your eyes closed. Meditation can also be something that when you have any free time at all, or maybe when you're driving or something, you can start to think about your family and people that you're responsible for, and how to start to take care of them if you should leave this world. And I can give you some, I can share with you some experience I had. I recently got in the car with Geshe Michael, and he drove me up, up to his house because I had to grab something. And he was playing some music for me. And it was some very sad song about, like, what are you going to do when I'm gone? I'm so sad. Like, I feel sad that, I can't remember the song. It was like an R&B song. Really fun, funky song. And you can see that he's meditating on it. He's starting to, or we're all in the car starting to cry almost. And he's thinking about this idea that it's like a love song, so he's thinking about, I suppose, his wife and what she's going to be able to, how he can take care of her when he's physically not here. So these are really sweet thoughts. And in this retreat so far, I think all the teachers, we've been trying to encourage you and encourage ourselves to think about sort of sad things like dying, like leaving your loved ones behind, like all this kind of thoughts that don't make you so happy. But as I think often is the case that when you try to think of these things, in the moment, yeah, there's some, you go through some experiences, and then the end result is that you feel really happy because the way Geshe Michael put it is you stop lying to yourself. And that's a big topic in itself, I think. The issue of being a person who's trying to reach some, to sort of, how to say, you're on a spiritual path and you're trying to reach some elevated goals, some very high goals. And then there's this kind of thing in the way called we lie to ourselves. And then there's like a conflict, you're trying to seek some kind of truth, some kind of something stable that you can build upon. And then there's this enemy called denial or escape, in the sense of lying to yourself. And I believe that that energy that you spend to make up stories in your mind, conflicting stories, like we heard one this morning, right? Science versus a big man in the sky. And you can't really hold both ideas in your mind. They don't really fit in your head. So there's so much energy that all of us probably spend on all this kind of data that you have in your brain from since you were a kid, always growing up with two ideas since you were a kid, thinking that, I don't know, anytime something comes up in your life, either you're going to really work at it and, I don't know, just do things like put gas in your car and then try to get to somewhere on time and then pass the car so you can get there and then do all these things and then it doesn't work and then God probably screwed it up. And then our mind is just like full of these conflicting energies where you really do sort of entertain these two impossible beliefs. One is that someone's in control and then you don't do anything. They do everything. You don't have to drive. You don't have to rush. You don't have to do anything because someone's taking care of everything. They're doing everything. And then the fact that if you don't get up and start driving, then you're not going to get to your appointment. So then you go with science and you buy a good car and you put good gas in your car and then you drive. And then you don't make it there, and then it goes back to why was this car in front of me driving so slowly? And then you switch to some fate, some kind of big power in the sky is taking over. So these are examples this is an example that he gave this morning of a conflict in our mind. And I personally believe that conflict takes up all your time and energy. And so if you spend all your energy there, how will you have energy to do your spiritual life, to think, to contemplate, to meditate? You can't, because you're holding this kind of, you're kind of running from something all the time. You're never deciding on anything. So I think it's related. Kind of lying to ourselves. I wouldn't say yourself because I'm definitely in the same group that I'm describing, but some kind of tendency to lie to ourselves, and then I don't know, maybe getting this kind of nervous energy from that kind of deception. And then what our friend here is talking about is, okay, I want to be done with that. I understand, like, I've seen people die. I've thought about death. And so I would just like to know what to do when that happens, so I can really, and I don't know how to say, but it's like, if she decides to think that way, there's a number of us in the room who will say, well, good luck, I'm going to think about tomorrow and having my plans, and good luck with your kind of heroic, spiritual, it kind of feels like she's going somewhere else. She's going into planning on not being here, and we're all planning on going to class tomorrow, and we're all we have all these plans, and then she's kind of standing up and saying, so let's say I'm not here tomorrow. What should I do now? And in general, I think what I've seen from Geshe Michael, just to share that, is that he doesn't we've had these classes before. He's talked about dying. He's talked about how easy it is to take another birth in a very painful way. He's talked about it a lot before. And then we're all like nervous, And he's talked about even like the hell realms. I feel bad to say it. I don't want to depress anybody here. And that's not my intention. And then when he talked to us about it, it was about 3 hours. And he talked about all the kind of hells you could be born in, and how your body could be, sliced up or burnt or freezing. And it just goes on and on. And but anyway, then we were all so nervous and thinking like, well, what should we do if we're going to die right now, And then he said, okay, take a break. Our friend, I've paid for some orange juice and some coffee. So when you take a break, just go outside and have some orange juice and some coffee. So it's funny, but according to Geshe Michael, I think, in my interpretation, if you're going to die tonight, maybe donate some orange juice or some coffee. And like that, little steps. It's giving away orange juice is not going to feed your body in this moment. giving away coffee is not going to wake you up right now, but if you died tonight and if you gave away coffee and orange juice, then it seems to me, according to, we're all scared. We hear about the hell realms, we're all scared. And he says, well, he didn't say anything, but by his example, he basically taught us that, well, if it were me in that situation, which maybe it is, I would offer some help to people. I would try to be of service to someone else or to as many people as I can, in whatever way I can. And the great thing about if you imagine taking care of your next life, and if you die tonight, if you do that, and sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I would think if you do that and it doesn't happen, then you've added one more preparation for the next life. So what I can think of is like, now I remember. I heard recently about sort of an uncle, not in my direct family, but my wife's family, and he has cancer, and it may be fatal, and so the whole family is starting to think about him dying, and then I thought, well, we should make some prayers for him, and hopefully he can overcome the cancer. But even if one of us were to get cancer, and then somehow we made it, and we didn't die from the cancer, then what would you do with the rest of those extra days that you have in your life? Obviously, you didn't stop death yet. You just stopped cancer for a few years, maybe. So with the time that you have left, or with my wife's uncle, with the time that he has left, then what should we advise him? Because even if he lives, should we say, oh my gosh, you're alive. Have you ever seen Bali? You got to go to Bali. While you still have one more year left of life, you have to see more of the world. But actually, somebody who's thought about death, who's come close to death, it doesn't feel to me like that's the best advice. Maybe they could hope for something higher. And so what we have in the book, it gets confusing for me because I keep switching rooms. But there's a book that you might have seen on the book table. It's called Light for a Friend. And it's by the teacher of Jay Tsongkhapa, who's the author of the book that we're using to prepare for the Diamond Way, the Song of My Spiritual Life. So in that book, I believe it's in that book, or maybe it's in the other letter to a king. Anyway, the Arya, Nagarjuna, he says, there's no better friend in the next life. There's no better friend than the giving you've done in this life. There's no better companion. So that's the basic answer, I think, is if we're going to die tonight, which is very possible, it's going to be one night, some night, then all we really have to overcome, or all we have to really do is overcome our hesitance to share. And it doesn't mean just money. That's just one small aspect. So, like, for example, if you wrap up your finances or you wrap up your properties or you wrap up your kind of loose ends in your life, then that's a definite kind of generosity and to your family. So we have to sort of think of others as much as possible. And in the context of that we won't be here, it becomes more clear about what we should give. Because you may want to give, I don't know, you may want to give a piece of some food that you have. But that's not the same as thinking, I might die tonight and I might end up in a bad place. And in that case, you might get excited about offering, I don't know, like 100 orange juices, not just one. You know, you start thinking in a different way when you start thinking that you might not have time left. Okay, that's a long answer to a short question. Thank you. Let me see. I think Huang was next, if that's okay. Back here? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have a question about the first part. The first part in Lamrim is to find or identify the heart lama. And Geshe-la often said that when we meet our heart lama, we will know. But I wonder that what's the feeling? How do we know that that person is our heart lama? Thank you.
Okay, this is another very deep topic. Do you mind if I sit here? I think that's how I feel most comfortable. Okay, I'll try to give a helpful answer. So let me think just for a few seconds. Okay. Again, I'm just going to give you some opinions because, and I think in this context of Diamond Way, how to say, opinions or this idea that you don't really know. You don't know if Geshe Michael saw emptiness or if he didn't. That's like a healthy thing, especially in Diamond Way. It's not necessarily a negative thing, not to know, to be unsure, to be uncertain in certain ways can be helpful. So I'll just give you my opinion and also try to connect it to where we're trying to catch you up for a Diamond Way. And I'm glad you asked the question. It's I keep forgetting how to pronounce your name. Huang. Yeah, Huang is. I'm very lucky because she and some friends, Jessica, they put together this group in Vietnam. When I was visiting there, we decided to make a little study group, translation study group. So I get to spend a lot of time with them in the last year. And so it's cool to answer your questions. I'm going to follow the line of thinking that Geshe Michael is calling the wave, or the tidal. It's like a tidal wave. I don't know if you've ever seen a depiction of a tidal wave. I think in Japan there's a famous painting of a wave, a scroll kind of wave, a beautiful painting. But I did see a movie once of a tidal wave. It was in the beginning of the movie, and this huge wave comes in off the ocean, and it's like a wall of water, like taller than a tall building, and it just comes into the city, and when it lands, it just breaks all the buildings. So it's a kind of gigantic wave. I've never seen one like that before, but I did have this experience when I was living on the beach, and I was here, and the water, the tide was maybe where that wall was, the back wall here, or a little further. So let's say 20 meters or 50 feet, like 100 feet out. The ocean was far away, and I was here on the sand, and we were doing yoga class, and all of a sudden a wave came in from back there, and it came all the way up to my knees, and all my bag was flooded with salt water. And so I have seen kind of not a tidal wave, but I've seen a weird thing where something is building up, and then all of a sudden it just kind of pops out. So a lot of the things that Geshe Michael is describing to us, we're kind of wondering, where am I, what step am I on? And my feeling from him is that we can't really talk about that because it's not a step yet. It's not a wave yet. It's just little impulses, just these little energies from hearing the talks, from sitting down and being open, from paying attention. Just these little impulses that you don't see them, but under the water they are moving, and they are combining, and they are adding up, and they are sending energy from all the way from Japan all the way to California. It's like you don't see on the surface of the water anything, but there's all these movements. And so in his description of the 16 aspects, and I asked him personally also, and I said, how long is the path of preparation? How long is this moment in your in your career? We know we have this path of accumulation, and then at some point you're getting intellectual insights into emptiness, and you're preparing for that breakthrough. And then how long is that? How long is that happening for? And he said, I would call it a year. I would call it 1 year. 1 year of deep intellectual insights into emptiness. And then you'll see emptiness after that. So, maybe for many of us who've been studying for some years, we always felt like we were hoping that we were on the path of preparation. But it's been more than a year. So maybe, like in my case, it must be just currents under the water, you see. I don't know if I'm even on the first path. It's hard to say. I think I'm accumulating some good seeds. Supposedly I am. So maybe I'm on the path of accumulation. They say that you have to have serious renunciation first. You have to really have moved on from your hopes just for this life. But let's assume I'm accumulating some good seeds. But those have not necessarily ripened into 1 year before seeing emptiness, right? And it may be the case that when you see your heart teacher you just know completely automatically. You feel this certainty just hearing their name. You hear these stories in the great books, and everybody wants to be like that. You know, everybody wants to say, "Oh my gosh, I heard my teacher's name and I felt this lightning go through my body, and then ever since then, like Geshe Michael said, if your heart teacher was in the room, you couldn't take your eyes off of them. It wouldn't be possible, you know. So now, you know, a teacher walks in the room and you're thinking, that's my heart teacher, but then you check your phone and you go, oh, darn, you know, and you feel guilty. You feel like, oh my gosh, I should be looking at them all the time, but that's not what he said. He didn't say look at them all the time. He said if it were to happen that you created this being, then something would happen to you, and if they were in the room, you just couldn't take your eyes off of them. And we're all hoping that we already reached that point. But I don't think that somehow you're deficient if you haven't reached that point. The mind is a very interesting place, and everything you put into it, you know, it starts to create these waves, I suppose. So, or energies. So I would say, in some previous classes, we talked more about planting them. There is some really cool advice in DCI. You know, there's like 12 levels of DCI, and then 12 advanced levels are coming. But in DCI, there's a level 2 called talent, passion, and purpose. And in that level, you're trying to find your talent, find what makes you passionate, find your sense of purpose. And he says, anytime you try to get those things by looking, or whatever it might be, it could be your talent, your passion, your purpose. It could be looking for a partner. It could be looking for a business partner. It could be looking for a teacher. But every time you try to do it by looking, the very act of looking creates a bad one. That's what he said. Because why? Why do you think? Why would looking for something create a bad one?
Because you too push, too stress.
You
Because it comes from my seeds.
Because in the end, it comes from my seeds, right? So that means there's kind of a built-in misunderstanding or ignorance when you think that the person that you're trying to, you know, find is out there. You already have an obstacle, and somehow he said that actually creates the process of looking for them in that way creates a bad one. So the last thing we want to do is create a bad heart teacher. So you have to, it's not that you don't look around and think about people that you feel close to. We talked about it in previous classes. You can start to appreciate anyone who's taught you anything, and you can start to elevate them. And then it can sort of be this healthy contest where, I don't know, maybe the first person that taught you something is your mother. And so you could start to work on seeing how she taught you so many things and appreciating her. And then she'll sort of start to her, how to say, you start to want to vote for her as being your greatest teacher. And then you can switch to your father. And all these are planting seeds, and they're starting this kind of energy. And then at some point, that should culminate, because it's all coming from you in the end, that should culminate in a person who you kind of feel this irresistible, how to say, you feel this, you feel certain that this is a person who's taught you the most, or who's going to teach you the most about the most important things that you need to know. And what Geshe Michael would say, or has said before, is the 3 principal paths. Who in your life taught you most about wanting to escape pain? Who in your life taught you most about how beautiful it would be if we could get everybody out of here? And who in your life taught you the most about how that's possible, how that could really be achieved, because things are coming only from how you treated other people. At some point, there will be a person who is going to be your savior, because they're going to teach you those 3 things perfectly, more perfectly than anyone else. But first you would have to want those things deeply, and then you could identify it in someone teaching it to you. So if you still want like things that are not those things, then it would be hard to find what we would define as a heart teacher, because you would still be looking for some other kind of gratification from that person. But if you're seeking the 3 principal paths, then when you find the person who could give that to you, and that's what you want from them, then it might be easier to confirm that person. But you would still have to plant the seeds, or none of it would happen. Okay, that's my best answer for.
Hi, Anatole. Thanks for answering, and thanks for asking the same question I wanted to ask. So my second question is, okay, now I have a lot of questions, honestly. Like I'm a bit confused, and I'm happy about that, because frustration leads me to like seeking the most important way I'm in right now, like in diamond way, like the sense of life. Okay. And does seeing the emptiness liberates me from wanting things? For example, attachment, from experimenting attachment. Yeah. Thank you.
Great question. It's Vlada. Right?
Vlada.
Vlada.
5.
Vlada. Let me, if you allow me, I will try to answer this question in a way that we can get everything in that I'll try to twist it a little bit, but I think it will come to the answer. At $100. Sorry, I should have it, but I'm never prepared. Okay. He tells me later. He said, "Oh, I think it went well. I heard people, clapping or something." Oh. Okay. I'm going to think of a counter question, and then I'll ask $100. Thank you. Can someone throw me a pen? I'm not going to do the whole pen. Just up to a certain point. Okay, so what is this thing? If a little puppy came into this room and I wave it like this, what would it do? Yeah. Does the dog see this thing as a pen? Yeah, it sees it as something to play with, right? What does it see? Okay, who's right? Okay. Let's leave it at that. Both are correct, right? It can be a pen and it can be a chew toy. But since we're talking about, I had a, okay, I'll try again. Let's try again. I can give away $100. What is this thing? If a dog comes in this room and I wave it like this, what will it do? Bite it, yeah. And whoever can give me the next step of teaching the pen gets $100. Exactly correct. So I just said, if I wave it here, if a dog came in and I wave this thing, what will the dog do? And then you said bite it, right? So what's the next step in teaching the pen? No, somebody has to give her a mic, yeah.
Everybody leaves their room and the room is empty.
Mm-mm.
From whom is it coming?
Mm-mm.
Who is right now?
No.
Who is correct?
No.
谁是对的 ？Who is？ 哦，不是。
If no dog, no human, what is it?
No.
Does the dog see it as a pen?
Yay, Jessica. Does the dog see this thing as a pen? Yeah. And the moment the audience says no, does the dog see this thing as a pen? The moment the audience says no, it doesn't see this thing as a pen, then you have a big problem because you have an object which is a pen and not a pen at the same time, right? You have a pen. What is this thing? You said it's a pen. Does the dog see this thing as a pen? You guys said no. So now you have a pen and not a pen. In order to see a pen, you have to cancel out everything that's not a pen, including not a pen. And in order to see not a pen, you have to cancel everything that's not a pen, including a pen. So you have two conflicting things in one space. You have two things that are, you have an object that's like hot and cold. It's a pen and not a pen at the same time. At that moment, you've already proven emptiness without saying anything more. The moment the audience says, does the dog see this thing as a pen? And they say no, you've already proven that this object cannot be coming from itself. It's impossible. So anyway, talking about Diamond Way, if you see a pen, that's the definition of a human. Do you understand? If you see a pen, if when you look at this object, if what you see is a pen, then you are a human by definition. Because you see a pen, you must be a human. And if you see a chew toy, you is a dog. Now, what's that have to do with Diamond Mountain? Diamond Mountain, the most important teaching of Diamond Mountain is this joke that Geshe gives. He says, oh, there was this person complaining all the time, you know, all the people around me, they're so annoying. They're so, I can't meet, I'm surrounded by idiots. And then they're trying to tell this group of people, you know, I'm surrounded by all these stupid people. And then all the trained students, they go like this, you know. Oh, okay, very interesting. If you see a chew toy, you is a dog. If you see idiots, you know. So it may be that the people around you are stupid. They may act very stupid, but I would not invest effort in seeing them that way, because all I'm doing is investing effort in turning myself into a dog or like that, you know. So that's a very, I believe it's a very good Diamond Way tip. And it can help you in your practice to try to see things as pure, because it's very personal. Every time you look at a person or even a thing and you judge it as somehow less than special, then all you're really doing is, it could be less than special. You have a seed to see something negative, but if you judge it that way, if you take it that way, then you're just doing the opposite of elevating yourself. You're just hurting yourself by seeing the people around you as less than perfect. You're missing all these opportunities to change yourself. Now, how does that have to do with emptiness, removing your attachment? First of all, you cannot. You have two obstacles in your journey to become enlightened, an enlightened being, and those are your bad seeds and your habit of thinking in negative ways, your negative emotional habits. Those are the two things that are completely tying you to this cycle. But the thing is that you cannot stop them. You are blocked from stopping them, because the thing that would allow you to stop them is to understand where things come from. You can't not get angry at someone that you think is irritated at you because they didn't have a good lunch or something. You can't really stop that kind of anger. Deep down, there's always going to be this flow of more negative seeds being planted and more negative habits forming. So the only way you could ever stop your attachment is to see that things don't have any nature of their own. To see emptiness directly is the only way, according to the teachings, that we could ever get rid of our attachment. But as a bonus, understanding emptiness also would allow you to convince you that it's the right thing to do to see the things around you and the people around you as divine, as special. Because after all, one object, the nature of this object is that it really can be both things. It's a weird nature, it's a strange nature. This thing could be hot and cold at the same time. It has that nature. So everyone around you may or may not be a Buddha, but their nature is that they're nothing. When you leave the room, they're nothing at all. So between understanding that they have no nature, they don't have any existence from their own side, then you could realize that they could become anything. And whatever they become is what you become. And so you could combine those motivations to be free of attachment, but also at the same moment to reach enlightenment, to be someone who could help people. You could combine those into one motivation as you go through your life and as you go through your path. And I am out of time.
Thank you so much, Anatole. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is amazing,
Thank you.
amazing
Next, great
explanation.
from our
As
teacher
always,
Anatole.
so deep.
Again, thank you.
So deep, so profound. Deeply appreciate. Please, amazing, Anatole, with your applause. With
来，大家欢呼，
love and
来为我们
compassion
Anna 老师
and
欢呼，谢谢，谢谢老
generosity
师，Thank you。
And gratitude.
OK， 好耶。
Thank you so much, Anatole. Thank you.
好，我们
And
让老师休息一下。
Okay, for now, we're saying goodbye for our online student. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you tomorrow,
跟线上的
probably.
同学说，先生再见。